Hello and welcome to Comic Books Go to the Movies. I'm Rory Griffin, aka the Tiger Wolf 55. With me is...
I am Conan Bell from Fighting Leaf.
And Sean Basinger, aka the Fox and the Fedora. And this is episode 3. All right, moving right along. Third episode, guys.
Woo!
Yay.
I'm almost excited about this.
Yeah, almost. I know. It's like call me when we hit 100, you know. All right. So to start us off this week, actually we had a discussion with when Zach was on last week about the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and the Amazing Spider-Man series. And they just released early this week, the original, I don't know if it was original script, or just like the original story they had planned for the Amazing Spider-Man 2, because during the beginning of production, they actually hired an actress to play Mary Jane Watson.
That's right, I remember that.
Yeah, and then halfway through, they just kind of said, you know what, we don't want Mary Jane Watson because we're going to go do the Sinister Six and all that, so... So they got rid of the actress. I mean, she was paid, I believe, but you know they just didn't use her scenes.
She was initially a little upset by it, but then said, nah, it's okay. I'll just wait for the number 3.
So she got paid to have her time wasted. Okay, good, great, fantastic.
It's amazing how many actors actually end up with that.
That is true. But the original story actually had Mary Jane Watson was going to be Peter's neighbor, and she had an abusive drunk father.
Sounds familiar.
And then Mary Jane was going to be a firm supporter of Spider-Man. She would have like a Spidey tattoo. And then during the film, Peter as Spider-Man would have confronted Mary Jane's father and told him to back off.
Is that meddling technically? I don't know.
I don't know. Considering everything else that I heard about the movie that was a little bit of a mess, it actually might have been a breath of fresh air.
Well, actually, it's interesting. In the comic books, Mary Jane's father, I believe, was a thief or something. I think he was. And when she found him again, like Mary Jane and Peter found him, she confronted her father with Peter. I don't know if Peter said anything, but I know it was a big standoff between MJ and her dad, and that was the last thing she needed to do before she was willing to commit to a marriage with Peter.
Well, they're not gonna go that route again.
I don't know.
Well, considering how his relationship is going with Gwen Stacy now, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, FUD. Ugh.
And or Snap.
Yeah.
I like Thud better. It brings to mind. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. Oh, butterfly! Squirrel! Sorry.
No. Bad, Conan. Bad.
Actually, honestly, to be honest, that is one of the most iconic scenes in all of comic books. And to be fair, they did do it very well in the film. And that is not a spoiler because obviously we all knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, that was part of my problem with them using Gwen Stacy in the first place. It was like, you can only go one place with this character in a PG-13 movie. It worked having her in Spectacular Spider-Man animated series because it's a kid's cartoon. Are they actually going to do that? But in a live-action PG-13 movie, yeah, she's just targeted for that one... one end game.
Yeah, I mean, we all kind of knew it was coming. But as I said, they did it pretty well. It was a very dramatic scene. Now, the second change in the script was that they were going to hire an actor to play J. Jonah Jameson, and in the script he was gonna he's still gonna be his usual grouchy self, and in one scene he was gonna take Peter on a tour of the building and go on and on about how the internet is killing the newspaper business. And then eventually, Spidey and Electro were going to have a fight in the Daily Bugle.
Woohoo! So that didn't happen.
No, that did not happen. Instead, J. Jonah Jameson's role was not casted, and the only thing we saw of him was, or at least sort of saw of him, was Peter sending him an email saying that I think Spider-Man's trying to do good in this city, and then getting a one-word reply, wrong, in all caps.
Wrong!
Were they intentionally going for the Lex Luthor meme?
I was.
Well, I know you were.
Oh, I guess I don't matter then.
But you do matter. It's just that, well, you're not J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I guess I thought this was a free country. I could be J. Jonah Jameson. Oh, wait, no, I can't. That's not how it works.
No, you can't. He has much better hair.
Anyway, so that was the two of the changes in the script. The third change, which I was just like, what, really? The third change was going to be at the end of the film, where after Gwen has died, instead of Peter finding her graduation speech on, I think it was like a cell phone video of her graduation speech, which happened at the beginning of the film, and that would have like uplifted him to becoming Spider-Man again, because he actually quits being Spider-Man in this movie. And then instead of that, it was actually going to be his father.
What?
Give it a gasp.
Yeah, Dr. Parker was going to be like, yeah, I'm alive. I've just been like hiding in the shadows. You know, I've been watching you grow up. You're good. You done good, but now you got to go back out there and be Spider-Man. Oh, by the way, with great power comes great responsibility. There, we got the line in.
I would have only accepted that if he turned it out to be a robot like in the comics.
My dad is a robot. This is a comic book.
Yeah, that's what happened in the comic books. It's like, you know, Chameleon and Vulture and a robotic Richard Parker and Mary Parker, and Spider-Man then goes on a rampage and finds out that it was actually Green Goblin, aka Harry Osborn, who set the whole thing up.
That jerk.
It's kind of a shtick.
Now, the next bit of news concerning the Spidey universe, what literal of it is there is, turns out that writer Alex Kurtzman, who helped work on The Amazing Spider-Man 2, he confirmed that Sony is right now trying to figure out what to do with the series. Amazing Spider-Man 2 met with disappointing box office numbers and a lot of bad reviews.
Le gasp.
However, it still looks like Amazing Spider-Man 3, Sinister 6, Venom, Black Cat, and Amazing Spider-Man 4 will still happen.
All in the same movie.
I would not be surprised if they took all the scripts and tried to mash them all together, all things considered.
Although it does look like, or at least it's a possibility that Mark Webb may not be returning. Although he's said he's interested in doing at least one more.
Aw.
I don't know how much it is his fault versus how much it's Sony mandating everything versus the actors who don't seem to give much of a flying fling about the people that they're playing. I don't know. It just feels very meh, paint by numbers superhero movies.
Yeah, I agree. It's like when I saw the first Amazing Spider-Man, I was like, wow. This feels really bland. I was just like sitting in the theater going like, okay, yeah, I know we really wanted a more slightly down-to-earth Spider-Man movie than the dancing Peter Parker and Spider-Man 3, but this was just like...
Didn't we have that in Spider-Man 1 and 2?
What do we have in Spider-Man 1 and 2?
The more down-to-earth feel to it. I mean, you had... Tobey Maguire, you don't get much more down-to-earth than Tobey Maguire, okay? His performance as Peter Parker.
Well, I'm just saying that while the previous Spider-Man films, the last three by Sam Raimi, were really good at giving us Spider-Man characters as we expected to see them, with some flaws, of course. This version, the Amazing Spider-Man series, just feels like when I saw, as I said, like when I saw the first one, it just feels so, like, wow, this feels so well. Like, in the first Spider-Man film, Peter creates Spider-Man because he wants to make some money to, impress Mary Jane. So he creates Spider-Man, goes to the wrestling ring, and fights Macho Man Randy Savage.
Bonesaw is ready.
Now, in the Amazing Spider-Man 1, which I don't think you've seen, Conan,
Meh.
but in the Amazing Spider-Man 1, he accidentally crashes through a skylight, which turns out to be an abandoned wrestling ring. Looks over, sees a
luchador poster, I believe it was.
Yeah, and it's just like, I'll wear a mask.
Great golly gosh.
Well, they gave it extra oomph because they had the tough guy that he was fighting that threw him through that skylight yell out, "I know your face, I know who you are." Oh, convenient mask poster. I'll take that.
Did he like take the mask off of the poster, poke holes into it, and use that initially?
Practically, the poster mask was eerily similar to the one that he ended up using as Spider-Man.
Yeah, it just felt so
Hackneyed in a film that was trying to be grounded and realistic.
Yeah, exactly.
That's there are certain things you don't have to worry about making realistic in a movie like this. In movies that center around whose premise is ultimately the fantastic element in it, the important thing to keep grounded isn't the premise around the plot. It's the way that people react to it. Like we got to have a Spider-Man character who struggles with using these kinds of powers in a realistic way, even if the powers themselves are not particularly realistic. Like, bench pressing a bus is not particularly realistic, and it doesn't have to be, but people have to be impressed in the natural way that you would be when you see someone do that. Like, dude, you just bench press a bus! That's awesome! But after time, people would get used to it after a while, and they would naturally get accustomed to it. That's the part that has to be realistic, not the setup of superpowerness.
It's the world around them that needs to be the realistic setting for this fantastic element.
Yeah, the fantastic element doesn't need to be... You don't have to worry too much about that being grounded in reality, because it's honestly not. It's like trying to explain how a lightsaber works with science. You just don't do that because you will fail.
Well, actually, the science of a lightsaber... Fine.
Wow, okay. Just knocks him right out.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm a nice guy, really.
Uh-huh. You're killing my dreams about lightsabers.
I'm sorry.
I want me a lightsaber!
Yeah, Conan, come on. We want lightsabers in real life.
Oh, come on. Didn't the Kinect teach you anything about lightsabers?
I didn't play the Kinect.
I didn't use the Kinect either.
Well, watch YouTube videos.
I do, but the Kinect is much different from what actually...
Watch more of them.
The Kinect is much different from what real lightsabers will be like.
What are we talking about again?
We should be talking about comic book movies.
Okay, but yeah, I agree with you. It really, you have to solidify, not the fact that, how these powers work, but so much the world around these heroes and these villains. It's like, you have to keep the human element in there. You have to make it, if you want to do it right, you have to make it so that your characters are believable, your characters can connect with the audience, and that everyone, you do your best to make people believe in what you're telling. And while I think they are trying to do that, they just haven't really grasped what, what Spider-Man should be. The As I said, Mark Webb, I think he's a great director. I think he's done some really great movies.
Oh, geez, I just got it. Mark Webb.
Oh my gosh, you just got that?
I'm sorry.
Oh wow.
I'm sorry.
Yes, this was the man born to make a Spider-Man film, and it's the weakest one. Yay.
It's not terrible from what I can see. It's just...
It's not terrible, but I remember walking out of the movie thinking, that was not the amazing Spider-Man. That was the average Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it really could. I think we got the amazing Spider-Man, honestly, despite all its flaws, with the Sam Raimi series. Because
If it hadn't been for Dancing Peter Parker, I don't think that people would be looking back on it with as much, I don't even know what to call it, chagrin as they do now.
I saw a creepy guy in a Power Rangers outfit. That made me happy.
oh, Green Goblin.
Sleep.
I don't know. I think when you're asked or you're auditioning for Green Goblin, you just look at that and go like, I can't do anything but have fun with this role.
Defoe.
I just remember it's like watching William Dafoe talk to himself in the mirror is just great.
My favorite bit with Willem Dafoe was actually when he was teaching Alfred Amendola how to do Doc Ock.
Oh, Alfred Molina?
Thank you. Yes.
Alfred Melanoma, yes.
Speak right.
I can't.
But no, it was, and that's one of the things we talked about in the previous episodes. The reason the Sam Raimi films are so good is because they gave us really memorable bad guys. I mean, okay, sure, they're over the top at times, but you know what? That's fine. It makes it a really fun roller coaster, you know?
And it fit with the tone of what they were going for in these movies.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, comic book movies, remember when they were just fun all the time, even if they didn't turn out to be all that great?
The Christopher Reeve Superman.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think part of it is that our standards have increased a little bit higher than comic book movies were ever really supposed to go, you know? And I think that's influencing how we look at both new and old superhero movies.
Yeah, the bar is constantly being raised by the filmmakers because they do new things. They find new ways to tell the story. People fall in love with that way, and they're like, "Well, how come you couldn't be like that?" So, and I don't think it's about that personally. I think it's just like, people all have their own visions for what they want to do with, when they're given the right to go ahead and make a film based on something that is a comic book or something else. Everyone has a different opinion as to what Spider-Man should be. Everyone has a different opinion as to what this over here should be. It's just you only get to a point where it's like you will find an audience that will agree with you, and then and everyone else will just be like, not sure if that's how I like to see this character done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you make multiple superhero movies, to reach different audiences and please different people at a time.
Yeah, but the goal should always be to make a good superhero movie for whatever it is that you're doing. Like, you can't compare the likes of The Dark Knight to something that had come back in the 80s or the 90s and say, oh, well, that's not nearly as serious or grounded as The Dark Knight, so who cares about how good it was for the time or how true it was to the character or how good it is as a standalone movie. But at the same time, you take Howard the Duck and you just look at it by itself and you say, yeah, I don't think that was a particularly good movie in and of its own right.
Oh, perfect segue, Rory. Perfect segue
Oh no! Wait, what? No.
to our next topic.
Oh no.
This has been the Marvel week. We have gotten so many, articles and announcements from Marvel concerning a lot of their movies. So we're going to start with the one that's coming up, that's the closest, Guardians of the Galaxy. Look out for Stan Lee's new cameo. He is playing an alien this time, apparently.
What?
Yeah, he's gonna be on the planet where the Guardians are most of the time, because this movie's gonna have like 5% of Earth. Like the movie takes place 5% of the time on Earth, and then 95% of the time it's in space or on another planet.
Yes.
He will be on the planet. He will be on the planet where the Guardians are. Also, Howard the Duck has a cameo.
What?
Believe it or not, Howard the Duck has a cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Game over, man. Game over.
Oh sure, why not? We have a talking raccoon with a gun and a talking tree and weird green-skinned people. Why not have Howard the Duck come back? Why not? Here's your seat, Mr. Duck. We hope you enjoy your stay. I'm gonna find a book and hit myself in the face with it now.
Oh boy, are they going to use the original suit that they had for the movie?
I don't know the details. They just said that Howard has some kind of cameo. If they are, knowing how they are though, the way Marvel is, I have a feeling they're just gonna like. I would love to see a ridicule joke. It's like, get out of here. Something like that.
Rocket
no
yelling
place
at
for
the
a
duck to
civilized
leave.
duck.
That would be awesome.
Okay, one at a time. Rory first.
Rocket yelling at the duck to leave. He's the big head honcho animal around here now. That would be awesome.
And Conan.
This is no place for a civilized duck.
But yeah, I found that interesting because I'm like, wait a minute, you're giving Howard the Duck a cameo?
Maybe he could get his own spin-off movie.
Well, he did have his silver anniversary not too long ago.
And nobody cared.
Nope.
So yeah, I was just like, well, okay, guys. I mean, the first reviews for Guardians of the Galaxy are starting to roll in, and people seem, generally pleased with the film. A lot of people said it's a fun ride. They had it's hilarious, and it's really making me look forward to seeing to seeing it and forming my own opinions.
Hooray, opinions.
As far as the Stan Lee cameo goes, this is just further proof that he is Uatu, the Watcher.
Wait. What if Stanley is Howard the Duck?
Oh my gosh, you had to go there!
This is no place for a civilized duck. Excelsior!
Oh no.
I'm gonna have to hurt you now. I hope you realize that.
I am protected by the internet. You cannot hurt me.
Darn it.
Okay.
Darn you and your physics.
Anyway, moving on actually to TV real quick. There's been some casting announcements for the Agent Carter TV series. We've actually found out there's going to be some more original characters added into as her supporting cast. Howard Stark will be in the show, as far as we can tell. He will be kind of like he's going to be the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm wondering, Rory, I'm wondering if we won't be seeing maybe the Howling Commandos turn up. I mean, Fallsworth is supposed to become the hero known as Union Jack.
That would be awesome. Obviously, they can't put in Wolverine, but I would love to see what they could do with the Howling Commandos.
Question.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? The Howling Commandos? What? Are they like howler monkeys that dress in camouflage or what?
No, they're a bunch of werewolves that all banded together under S.H.I.E.L.D. and they go on special missions together.
Well, that's the modern version.
I'm sorry.
I was being goofy. Were you being serious?
Okay, Conan. The Howling Commandos. Did you see the first Captain America movie?
Yes.
Remember those guys that Captain America hung with at the towards the end of the movie? They helped him storm Red Skull's base.
Yeah.
Okay, those are the Howling Commandos.
I think I get it.
Yeah, in the comics, they were his original fighting team. They all had their special talents and everything. Wolverine was actually among them. And I would love to see them brought to life on the small screen.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be awesome to see, the Howling Commandos come back and actually get more story going with them. Because, you just, with Agent Carter, you opened up the whole, 1940s, series of Marvel characters.
See, I told you that they were going to go that route with the series. They have a lot of possibilities.
Not to mention, Peggy Carter is also in Avengers Age of Ultron, which is actually our next topic and the biggest news of the week. I hereby declare this week Avengers Week.
Woohoo! Why?
Explain?
Yes, because we have had tons and tons of news come from Avengers Age of Ultron. Okay, so get this. According to an interview done by Entertainment Weekly, Ultron will be created by Tony Stark, apparently using Loki's scepter, and he will imbue the robot with his own personality. Does this confirm that Loki's scepter is the mind gem?
I don't know, but I think it does confirm that Tony Stark's ego truly is the worst thing in the universe.
Or it could make for a very drunk robot.
No! It's the Ultimate Comics all over again!
I'll drink and save the world from itself. Give me another.
Go home, Ultron. You're drunk.
It'll be the easiest robot to defeat ever. All they're going to need to do is find an unlimited supply of Jaeger bombs, and they'll be good.
No. They're gonna beat him with an atomic intervention. Led by the Incredible Hulk.
Ultron, Hulk, feel for you.
When Ultron drink, it make Hulk sad.
Hulk can't stand by and watch Ultron suffer.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, I think when the fact that Tony's gonna find a way to imbue the robot with his own personality, his own mind, I think we are looking at the mind gem here, which means hopefully that we will get the Avengers caught up with the whole oh wait, there's a thing called Infinity Gems and they are bad.
As in no good.
Because all they know about right now is the Tesseract, and they just thought, okay, well, that's just one thing. I don't think we have to worry about anything else, right?
I told you that if they did use the Infinity Gems, they'd only be going the route of exploring the scepter. They wouldn't introduce a new one.
Well, I didn't say they were going to introduce a new one. I asked the first episode if the Mind Gem or the Ether would be used as a plot device for Avengers 2.
Plot device. We have established. Yes, it is. Plot device. Avengers 2.
Just as long as it doesn't turn into a MacGuffin.
MacGuffin plot device of mental Guffany.
Well, they're all technically MacGuffins.
No, a MacGuffin is something that you introduce, gets the ball rolling, and then is completely forgotten about.
A MacGuffin is the device used to hunt tigers in the Scottish Highlands.
That makes me nervous.
Wait, there are no Scottish tigers in the Scottish Islands.
Well, then I guess it's not a MacGuffin.
Oh, zing!
Ooh.
They also announced that Ultron will have henchmen these are other robotic creations of Tony's called the Iron Legionnaires. They are basically, Tony has created these because, okay, look, guys, I beat, Obadiah Stane, I beat Whiplash, and I beat the Mandarin, I helped you save the world from Loki. I need a break.
Here are some cheap knockoff versions of me. Have fun with them.
Here's the bootleg versions of me. Have fun.
Don't say bootleg when it comes to Tony Stark.
Now, how will this make Tony Stark look after Ultron is defeated, do you think? Do you think people are just going to overlook the crazy Stark robot that almost destroyed the world? Or will Tony get a free pass and everything will go back to being hunky-dory?
I think he's going to need to do a lot more drinking after this movie.
It's not going to be good because, I mean, the Stark logo will probably be on these robots.
Well, it depends.
Yeah,
you know
he puts his name on everything.
One at a time, Rory.
Yeah, he puts his name on everything, so it's going to be like, where did these robots come from? Tony!
I think it would depend a little bit on who gets involved in cleaning up the mess. I mean, okay, you have the Avengers, but as long as one of the people cleaning up this robot mess that he put together is named Iron Man, then yeah, probably that'll help a little bit, but even so, people are not going to be happy with it. They're going to have him say, you, stick to the suit, that's it, okay? Just don't screw anything else up with that big old stupid smart brain of yours like you did before. They're going to hold Ultron over his head forever. It's like, no, I'm working on this new really awesome thing. Oh, yeah, hey, remember Ultron?
Yeah, exactly.
No, this is completely different. Ultron.
I am so sorry about that.
You are so sorry about you almost getting all of humanity wiped out. Yeah, I would hope that you would be.
I just think that, what will this do after, we're done? I mean, Winter Soldier, all of S.H.I.E.L.D. was compromised by Hydra. Now we've got Tony Stark. Well, I'm going to fill the role of S.H.I.E.L.D. by creating my own Iron Legionnaires. Then those go wrong.
I can see people are going to believe that the end times have begun for a while, and so the next few movies are going to be about everyone trying to get people to, stop acting like it's the end of the world, which will be difficult because of all the people who think it's the end of the world anyway.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's just going to be a mess. Also this week we learned, for more Avengers 2 news, we learned that Stark Tower has been transformed into a combination Stark Tower Avengers Mansion.
Yes.
We will actually see the Avengers just hanging out for once.
That is a dynamic that I was looking forward to seeing. Unlike the Justice League, which is kind of more business-like in how it deals with all of its team members, the Avengers is much more like a family. I mean, in comics, you're seeing them constantly hanging out, drinking coffee together.
It's like college.
Yeah, very much so. And we saw a little bit of that in the Avengers movie when they just went to eat shawarma together. But it'll be interesting to see them actually use that for the movie, just getting together, hanging out for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm glad, they're going to just have the team, not fighting for just a little bit. Just to see them, what they do together when there's no bad guys to fight. And I think that I wonder how some of the characters will react, because I mean, Thor just hanging out, it's like, how does he react to, no battle time and just hanging out with mortals on Earth, so.
He probably brings a keg and says, what's everyone else gonna drink?
Either that or arm wrestles with the Hulk.
Yeah, like Banner's gonna let himself do that. It's like, no, I may be angry all the time, but I'm not giving in to you.
That, and also it would be a very messy arm wrestling contest.
Yeah, it's like, your arm is considerably longer than mine. Maybe I need if I get a stool real quick, hang on just a moment. Okay, yes.
Hey, guys, can you stop? This is round 5 and the building's gone.
We still have the table here.
But yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a pretty good film from what we're seeing so far. Have to wait to see what the trailers give us, and also to actually see the movie. Um, Also, even more news. Yeah, this just keeps going on and on and on. It turns out that Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch's backstories were revealed, and it's actually really, really close to what the comics have. They are orphans. They're gypsy. They're gypsy-like. Apparently, different, of course, from the comics is that Loki's scepter will most likely be the cause of their amazing powers, given what we saw at the end of Winter Soldier. Uh, Instead of having anything to do with Magneto being their, I believe, father. But interestingly enough, this may go along with something said in Iron Man 3.
What's that?
In Iron Man 3, Killian, maybe real Mandarin, we're still not sure.
Hail to the king.
We said to Pepper when he was giving that holographic demonstration that there is a slot in everyone's brain that is vacant. And it's like, this supposedly means we are destined to be upgraded, if you will, to something else. Does this mean that real magic is coming? Because if the scepter can make or fill in this slot and give two people amazing powers, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, does this mean that real magic is coming? And will this open the doors for Doctor Strange and other magical and horror-related Marvel characters?
I hope so. I like magic. I like my magic to be magical. Magic with sparkles and fire and just magic being the not simply the unexplained, but the unexplainable, Like Genie from Aladdin. I don't get how he works, and I don't care. It's magic.
I hate magic.
Magic. Why you hate magic, man?
It's how lightsabers work.
No, lightsabers work on principle of crystals.
Magic.
Superhero plasma. Okay. It will be interesting to see how it goes. I think it's basically just their way to answer the whole we can't actually have mutants because they're owned by Fox thing. So it probably won't be the go-to for just magic. It could be their solution for any kind of superpowers that they want to introduce. Like Scarlet Witch's thing, it has several different variations. Part of it is magic, but part of it is other stuff. And, well, like you said, it could be their way of introducing Doctor Strange and their ability to broaden their horizons to say this is how they're able to access the interdimensional powers that the magical properties of the Marvel Universe are consistent of. So...
Yeah, I think this will definitely open up a new pathway to introduce characters like Doctor Strange and other magical characters in the Marvel Universe, which would work with the way the story's going, because when Thanos gets those Infinity Gems, he's gonna have some crazy powers. So you gotta have something there to, say, well, we've seen this kind of thing before, in the sense that we have a Doctor Strange movie and we've seen Scarlet Witch and
so it's not completely random.
Yeah, I think in a way they are making sure that it does make sense in the end, in a way. But yeah, it looks like they're setting up a lot of things for the future, which is great because they just announced that that 5 more Marvel movies after Ant-Man and Captain America 3 will go all the way to May of 2019.
Yep.
Seeing as it's a May of 2019 release date, I'm guessing that's Avengers 3 right there.
Sounds the most plausible.
Never get into the executive part of movie producing. I do not plan. I just show up to set and say, "Hey, I'm ready to do things in front of the camera. I will be your dancing monkey for today."
Now, speaking of upcoming Marvel movies, get this. A while back, we got both the release dates for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice and Captain America 3. It's the same weekend.
Mm-hmm. And neither studio is backing down. They have both released statements this week saying, yeah, no, not moving it.
This is gonna end in tears, isn't it?
Well, Warner Brothers did say that a lot can happen between now and then. I mean, it is about 2 years away. So, yeah, this game of chicken might make one of them move.
Please, can we have them released on different days so that they're not like scratching each other's throats out, and so that the fans aren't scratching each other's throats out, and that no one's scratching my throat out?
Okay, let's say that a worst case scenario comes around and neither one caves, and opening weekend comes, we get Captain America 3 and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. What do you think will happen?
I think I will wait for them to come out on DVD.
No, I don't think it's. I think people will want to go see, both. There will be a. I think it's obvious to say that there will be some kind of like fanboy internet contest going on to see which of the two will make more money or be better.
Oh, I'm picturing news reports happening at the theaters regarding Marvel fanboys versus DC fanboys actually getting into fist fights over this.
I don't want to be in a fist fight. Not over that, anyway.
Well, here's hoping that doesn't happen. Here's hoping that does not happen. Now,
Can I wait for the DVD?
I think it's safe to say that that Captain America 3 and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice will both draw in large crowds, and everyone will go see these films. I just don't think, personally, I'm not putting these in a contest. I'm just like, oh, good, 2 superhero movies in one weekend. I got things to do. It's just people like to have competitions, so.
Can we just go watch movies? It's a fun thing to do in the weekend. Whimper.
And this transitions into our DC Comics talk.
Yay.
The TV series Gotham.
Oh, I've been looking forward to this one too.
Mm-hmm.
I plan on having a Netflix marathon the moment it becomes available, which won't be for a while, but still, that's how I watch TV.
The people working on this show, which of course is about the origin stories of Jim Gordon, the Batman Rogues Gallery, and Batman himself before there was a Batman, have said that characters like Mr. Freeze are not out of the question, and they have hinted that the Joker will be evident throughout the series. Now, do you think they would try a Red Hood story, like the original Red Hood story?
Oh, that would make sense. That would make 9 kinds of sense.
I'm actually hoping for more of a Mask of the Phantasm gig.
But Red Hood also makes sense. But wait, Mask of the Phantasm? No, that doesn't make sense unless you have another cape for him for that to duel against.
Well, I'm just talking about the bits that showed what Joker did before he got into the crime syndicate as one of the head honchos before his Jokerization.
That's a good word.
Jokerization. No, I think one of the things I've always wanted to see done in live action is the Red Hood story, where actually the Killing Joke origin story is really, really good. And I think that's why I really like the animated movie Batman Under the Hood.
Under the Red Hood.
Under the Red Hood, yeah. And the really quick flashback scene of Batman remembering his first encounter with the Joker, who was the Red Hood at the time, and just how it was the way it's done, the way it was like, the Joker wasn't even a bad guy. Apparently, he was just some guy who was dragged in, tricked into wearing this Red Hood, and then Batman, who had met previous Red Hoods, took it as, oh, this is the same Red Hood, and immediately went into a fist fight with him, knocked him into the chemicals, and created his greatest nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see a live action portrayal of that scene. Now, the only problem is that Bruce Wayne is 8 years old in this series, so it's like
he will punch very few people.
so it's like unless it like unless the show goes on and on and on, and this happens way later, season what 18, yeah, something like that. I would, or if they wanted to do a like if the series was going to end, just have like a scene that says like some years later, and it actually shows Batman, arriving in Gotham, and you could have the Red Hood scene.
And then the hand comes out of the chemicals. It's all bleached white, and then you hear.
But when you say that the presence of the Joker can be felt, that can be taken several ways. First off, the Red Hood, it's actually an organization, like you were saying, so it's possible that they'll be establishing the formation of the Red Hood as a group within Gotham during this series. And, well, some Joker interpretations, like the Jack Nicholson Joker, he's significantly older than Bruce Wayne, so they might go that route with this character and just have him sprinkled throughout the series in some shape, way, or form. Yeah.
Well, they were doing like this one scene was being filmed in this one bar owned by a prominent gangster who's like one of the main antagonists of the series, and the Penguin is her henchman, and one of the scenes has her listening to a stand-up comedian, and she turns to the comedian and goes, "I like this guy. He's funny."
Dun dun dun!
So that could be an allusion to the Joker, because according to the Killing Joke story, he did start as like a failed stand-up comedian.
Well, then wouldn't the line be, "I'm not sure I like this guy, he isn't very funny"?
I don't know. As I said, they could change whatever they want. They could change this here, but keep that there. I'm sure they won't. From what it's looking like, they won't, change as much. But like, for instance, Jim Gordon is in Gotham, and it looks like it's kind of like year one, but way before year one.
That's fine. I liked Year One as a Jim Gordon story better than a Batman story anyway.
So, but anyway, we'll have to see where they go with it, because there's a lot you can do. There's a lot of Batman villains you could set up. The guy playing Penguin looks like he's going to be fantastic as the Penguin.
My only concern is the fact that while there's a lot you can do, there's a lot you can't do as well. Like you can't have a very convincing Harvey Dent story in something like this. You can't really set up a Catwoman. You can't set up very much of a like if anyone ever wanted to play with Hush, it would not be here that they could do it. Oh, dude, they could make reference to Hush in this.
Well, yeah, they could make references. You're right. They could make references to certain characters, to certain Batman mythos. But they just can't. You're right. You can't have the definitive Harvey Dent story because that happens later.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just have to see where they go with it, because this opens up the doors for references, but it also opens up the door for original content, as much as some people are against original ideas. But we'll just have to see where it takes us.
Yes, because original ideas are always bad, right, Harley Quinn?
That's right, Mr. J.
Now, some more DC Comics news. This week, Rupert Murdoch, who owns 20th Century Fox, is trying to buy Time Warner, which means if he were to succeed, he would own things like Warner Brothers, CNN, and even DC Comics.
That fiend. Wait, is that bad?
Not necessarily bad, just interesting. Some people have been speculating on whether or not this would mean a crossover between the upcoming Fantastic Four and the DC cinematic universe.
I personally don't think that putting all these superheroes together into the same kind of monopoly, I think that should be kept to a minimum. I mean, I was scared when Disney first acquired the absolute rights to the Marvel universe and things of that nature. But if this keeps up, then eventually we could see Marvel and DC both being owned and controlled under the same umbrella, which would result in a comic book monopoly, and those don't end well.
Well, I mean, suppose, just for the sake of argument, suppose Disney was to end up buying Warner Brothers and DC Comics. Okay, so now...
I would scream.
So now they have DC Comics and they have Marvel Comics. Does this necessarily make things bad, or will this open up the doors for a possible, oh my gosh, this would be a huge film, Justice League versus Avengers film?
I would pay so much money for that. Just so long as they don't go with the 90s storyline, okay? Keep that out of the picture, please. That was a fan-voted monstrosity of a story.
Now, here's the thing. Yes, people would pay money for it. You know why? Because they wouldn't be competing against each other anymore. They would crank up the prices on everything. Movies, comic books, merchandise. Because where else would you possibly get your comic book hero fix anymore? Image?
Image Comics. I don't know. I mean, this is, of course, is just, a what if scenario. I have no idea what's going to happen with the Time Warner situation. As of right now, they have turned down Rupert Murdoch, and so we'll just have to wait and see if this even goes anywhere, because they could just stay put and just keep it to keep what they have and stay a separate entity and go from there. But we just don't know. So it would be interesting to see what happens. And where it ends up in the end, but we'll just have to wait and see.
And realistically, even if Warner Brothers were to get purchased, I don't think that we would have to worry about anything like a crossover, especially at this point. Everybody's still trying to set up their own things. DC is just getting their universe started. Fantastic Four and X-Men, they're either just getting started themselves or reinventing themselves. Even if Warner Brothers were to get purchased, I don't think that it would really affect things.
I agree. I think they're all too busy just trying to, as you said, set up what they already have and try to get, especially DC Comics with their cinematic universe. They're trying to get a lot of movies going. They announced Wonder Woman's is definitely in the works. I heard a Flash Green Lantern film, Brave and the Bold, So we'll have to see where that goes. Now, Rory, I have a question. This one's primarily directed to you because you and I have seen this show.
Okay.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2 has put out a casting call for the following character. Here is the description. A ruggedly handsome, physically fit actor to play a character who can escape any situation, is a bit of a wild card, and though he's mostly interested in personal gain, always ends up doing the right thing.
Okay, I'll audition. I don't know what you're laughing at.
Okay, Rory, what do you think?
Oh, that is so vague. Let's face it, there are a lot of Marvel characters that could fit in that mold. I mean, obviously the first one that comes to my mind is Gambit, but clearly they can't go with that one.
I would have said Ben Grimm.
Ben Grimm?
He is just chiseled, man.
Right.
But I'm dish. I'm funny.
Okay.
I honestly don't really know who they specifically be aiming for with that casting call. We need more details in order to figure out exactly who they are trying to introduce here.
Exactly. I think that's why I guess they put it out. They weren't afraid. It's like, ha, let them figure this one out.
Mm-hmm.
But
Watch some nerd get it right on the money the first time around.
Oh, you know somebody is.
somebody will guess something and be like, I was right!
I use deductive reasoning based on the extremely vague words that they use.
It's called odds, and there are so many characters in the Marvel universe that fit that description. You just happened to pick the right one.
Anyway, the last bit of TV news I have for you guys, and the last news in general, is the CW has announced a Flash Green Arrow 2-hour TV crossover.
Want, must watch, gimme, now!
Not to mention that the Flash TV series has recently cast Captain Cold.
He's gonna squee.
And even though they announced that the TV series are separate from the movie series, like there's no connection, a picture was taken on the set of The Flash, and it was a truck, and the logo on the truck was LexCorp.
Hello.
Fine! I'm sorry.
One at a time. Let's go Rory first.
Hello, mind blown.
All right, Conan.
No, pretty much the same.
Just happy. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the idea of a Flash Green Arrow crossover. I want to see what they can do with it. Of course, it's going to be like part 1 is going to be on like Green Arrow, and then part 2 would be on the Flash. And they're gonna. I don't know. Have we ever gotten a comic book Green Arrow Flash crossover, just the two of them, or is it just kind of reserved to Justice League?
I think it's kind of reserved for Justice League. Green Arrow is usually paired with, most famously Green Lantern, and then also his stint with Batman. And Flash, friendship with Green Lantern.
Yeah, most of the time he doesn't really get paired up with anybody. He usually runs around doing his own thing.
Literally.
I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with the 2-hour crossover, because they have had Barry Allen on the Flash show in season 2. He actually showed up for I think 2 episodes, and then he left, and that's how they introduced Barry Allen. And so to see the two of them now, both superheroes, is I think it'd be fun, because Green Arrow for his past 2 seasons has been a really kind of a darker crime drama series. I think they're trying to, for the next few seasons, they're going to try and bring it more towards what the comics are. A little more. They're going to still be serious, I think, but a little more the Green Arrow we love and know.
Boxing glove arrows.
And the Flash will be as we've expected. The wisecracking.
Ever the optic.
Can't catch me.
One at a time.
Go ahead.
You're too slow. I'm sorry. No, I'm not.
Rory?
Ever the optimist, bright spot in the middle of a dark situation type of character.
Yes. I mean, Rory, you and I were talking about the Justice League Unlimited episode Flash and Substance this week. I love that episode. Just because... Okay. Things we need to see in a Flash series. Things we need to see. The supervillain bar.
Yes.
Just every single supervillain in Central City just hanging out, talking, and just... They're not plotting anything. They're just...
ordering really frou-frou drinks.
Okay, second thing that was just the best about Flash and Substance that would be hilarious. Okay, the villains taking turns to attack the Flash in the show, and eventually when it comes to the Trickster's turn and they hear his plan, Captain Cold just says, "You know what? Taking turns is dumb." Third thing I'd love to see, the Flash catch the Trickster in the way he did in the episode. Okay, don't forget to turn yourself in.
Caught me again, Flash! I love that episode.
That episode was written perfectly.
It really was. It was one of the best of the entire series and probably the best of that season of Justice League Unlimited. If they were to do that in the Flash TV series, obviously not all at once, but if they were to do those things, that would make it so good.
I would just love to see, you know, how they handle the series. I mean, with the addition of villains like, you know, Captain Cold, you got Killer Frost, you've got Weather Wizard, you got Professor Zoom. It's gonna be. I'm really hoping it's gonna be awesome.
So far, everything suggests that it will be.
I'm not hoping, I'm expecting. I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to buy tickets to this thing even though it's on TV.
Shut up and take my money!
Okay, guys. Now I have a new segment of our podcast I'd like to introduce.
Oh no, new things. I'm afraid of new things.
Not new things.
And it's called Do It Right!
Wait.
In this case, we're going to actually analyze a previous superhero movie that didn't do so well. And we're going to see if we can't figure out where they went wrong and how it could be better.
Because just complaining about comic book movies that we don't like isn't enough if we can't figure out how they could have actually improved on it.
Most of the time, the big mistake they did was sucking too much. If they sucked a little bit less, they'd be perfect.
Well, I just thought it'd be an interesting discussion to see what you guys could come up with and, you know, get some feedback as to what, you know, probably could have been a better idea. And the movies we're looking at today are Green Lantern and the 2005 Fantastic Four film.
Very fitting, because, in my opinion, they are very similar.
Ooh, can I go first?
Yeah, sure, we're starting with Green Lantern.
Okay. Green Lantern, there are two things that really stuck out to me that could have been addressed very easily. Number one was he's supposed to... Hal Jordan, the protagonist, is supposed to be impressive in the amount of willpower that he displays. The unfortunate thing about the character as he was presented was that he seemed to have a very ultimately weak will as far as controlling his own urges and emotions and things of that nature. He may have been headstrong and able to resist the will of others just by being bullheaded, but that's not the same thing. And it's supposed to be that quality that leaves an impression on both the Ring and the other core members. And the second thing that I think they could have really improved upon was, the CGI that they used. I really do think that, looking at it, I really think that production, on the special effects side of things, had to have been severely compromised at some point, because I keep saying Parallax, as he was presented, turned into a vortex of brownie batter attacking one building.
It really was, effects wise, it just looked like it was unfinished. It almost looked like they had run out of time and they were just like, oh, that's all we can do right now, you know. So I don't know the story behind that,
which is especially unfortunate because reportedly Warner Brothers spent an extra $7 million on the visual effects after the first trailer was released.
Ow.
Oh.
And I mean, in terms of what the story they were going with, having Parallax be the main antagonist with doing an origin story for Sinestro, and also having also having a secondary villain, Hector Hammond, there. I don't think that was a bad idea. I thought it was. I was like, okay, yeah, this I can see this. Parallax is a really big staple of the comics, especially Hal Jordan's storyline. However, just the way in the end, it kind of felt like they were rushing the Parallax story, considering that it's Hal Jordan himself who gets possessed by Parallax, and like the sun is extinguishing, and he actually has to fly into the sun and reignite it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, chink, chink, hang on, chink. Okay, got the pilot light up again.
Essentially. Yeah, that's a good point. There are a lot of things that they really could have improved on in this movie. First off, why did you have to get Van Wilder as Green Lantern? I'm sorry, Ryan Reynolds was not decent casting. Second, I think that more time should have been spent in space. Whoever cut the second trailer, I think that was the second trailer, did a good job on giving us what a Green Lantern should have been, exploring the mythos of everything, the grand space opera-esque nature of it. They should have spent a lot more time in space. It's like, start off on Earth, that's great. Establish Hal Jordan, like you were saying, Conan, as the strong-willed, impulsive guy that he is in the comics. He gets the ring, he gets brought out into space, and he spends time out there. It's not just a quick montage of training. We actually see him train, learn, grow under the tutelage of Sinestro. That's something that was definitely missing in here. The two were supposed to be friends, they're colleagues. I never got that. They spent no time on that at all. And then they rushed him back to Earth, where everything was boring again. And finally, Parallax is a villain that needed to be earned. They should have just stuck with Krona.
Or Hector Hammond would have been just fine as well, if they had played him up a little bit more.
Definitely.
Here was an idea I actually had. You could have had the introduction of Parallax in the film. You could have made it look like he was destroyed early on. Then you just make Hector Hammond the main antagonist by having him get possessed by Parallax. So basically, his powers, in a way, he is Parallax. And then after you take him out at the end of the film, Parallax looks like he says, oh, we've destroyed Parallax again. But it's like, no, we haven't. Yellow rings, yellow lantern, there's Sinestro. And you would have slowly built up in future sequels the resurrection, if you will, of Parallax.
Dude, that's something you could build a cinematic universe around.
All leading to the Sinestro Corps War. That would have been amazing.
Red lanterns, blue lanterns, pink lanterns, purple lanterns, polka dot lanterns, black, blue, purple.
I think, though, I really like the casting for Sinestro. Mark Strong.
Yes.
Really good as Sinestro.
Yes. The villains
no complaints here.
The villains that they cast, perfect. Both of them were excellent. Hector Hammond and Sinestro were very well played. I will not deny that. It's just that they weren't given enough.
Exactly, like Hector Hammond at the very end. It's like he comes out like in that little wheelchair thing, and it's just like, oh wow, I'm so afraid. It's like, Green Lantern, welcome. I mean, it's just like when you think about it, he wasn't really very, very threatening. I mean, sure, the mind powers were definitely
he had the powers, but he didn't make more than a couple scenes worth of damage with them.
Yeah, he was really, underplayed, I think. And it could have been so much more, like he could have, I wouldn't have minded seeing him take over that secret facility that Amanda Waller had, and that's another character that was wasted.
They were trying to use Green Lantern to launch into their cinematic universe. Again, Green Lantern was just DC's answer to Iron Man. Good job, guys. Good job.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. As I was saying with Hector Hammond, I would have loved to see him do something like take over that secret base. He could have used his powers to create some kind of, to create some really cool traps or something in there. I mean, being somebody whose brain just got supersized, what they gave him at the end, just coming out in that wheelchair, or that whatever that was, like a little rolly chair or something, and being like, okay, give me your ring. That's like, what? That's it.
And his big threatening moment, he's holding the girlfriend in a telekinetic bubble with the syringe next to her neck.
Yeah, it's like he was severely underplayed, and then before you know it, there's Parallax, and oh well, I guess he's the villain. Okay, so.
People were actually saying they felt sorry for the poor guy. Poor Hector Hammond. He didn't do anything. Everything just happened to him, and he happened to get caught in the crossfires.
You're not supposed to be all sympathetic towards a villain guy. We don't look forward to seeing him defeated. We're just, don't hurt the guy. He's just, I did the. No, it should be like the Joker's like, oh, look at all the stuff we did. Yeah, go punch him in the face, Batman. Yeah.
It's so like when I watched the film, I was just like, okay, guys, there's just, and I was actually hopeful for it, because when I heard who was directing it, Martin Campbell, who had directed 2 James Bond films that were very successful,
GoldenEye
and Casino Royale, and I'm just like, dude, what happened?
that is why I claim Green Lantern as one of the biggest victims of studio interference. They saw what Marvel was doing, they wanted to rip off of Iron Man, and that's exactly what we got, an Iron Man ripoff.
It's just, I really think if they had, taken their time, that's what this needed. This needed more time, as you said, more time in space. You could have still had Hector Hammond be the villain, but you needed to have more time in space, more time setting up who Sinestro was, what the Green Lantern Corps was, and
most importantly, who Hal Jordan is.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta throw in the strong will. You gotta throw in some kind of the emotional instability, sure, but you gotta make him. You can't make him. Here's a good example of a good Hal Jordan presentation. He was presented. The way he was presented in the video game Injustice: Gods Among Us, he had that gruffness about him, that deep voice, that kind of military air to him, the kind that was hardened with a kind of experience.
Yeah, I mean, isn't this guy like Air Force?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that should be like, exactly what
you shouldn't be some kind of. I mean, sure, throw a little bit of a braggadocious hot dog and pilot guy in there to a small degree, but he's not a rookie ace. He knows what he's doing.
He's not a test pilot so much as punishment. It's because he's willing to do the things that nobody else is willing to do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's what I wanted to see from a Green Lantern movie, and it's just a pity it ended up being what it was. As I said, they just needed to take their time with it, and they didn't. They just rushed all this stuff in there. Parallax burned to a crisp by the end of the film. So
he's the embodiment and entity of fear, and they killed him off in the very first movie. Yeah, good job, guys.
All right, Fantastic Four. Now, one thing I actually had a conversation with my dad about this, and he's one of the things he brought up is, I don't know, have you guys ever seen the old Hanna-Barbera 1960s Fantastic Four cartoon?
I did when I was little. Yeah.
One of the things that my dad said is severely lacking in Fantastic Four these days is that back in that cartoon, Reed Richards, yes, he was a scientific genius, but he wasn't an insecure, nerdy guy. He was a leader. and he he was confident. And I think that's one of the things that the Fantastic Four aren't doing very well right now. I mean, okay, yeah, we've got a good, we've got Johnny Storm down character wise. Ben Grimm character wise, good. We got him down too. Um, Sue Richards, that too. But I think just Reed Richards' character needs to be a little more confident.
I mean, he's the backbone of the team, ironically enough.
Mm-hmm.
But he was always that. He is the paternal figure in that family, because he was always whenever Ben and Johnny got into their inevitable clashes, it would either be him or Sue that got them to calm down again after a while. And without that kind of he needs to be able to at least look the part of being confident, of being someone who would command the loyalty of a man made of bricks.
What do you think, Rory?
I have to agree. I'm going to assume that the characterization of Reed Richards in the movies was resultant of looking at, again, the ultimate version from the Ultimate Marvel Comics. I mean, yes, he had the gray strip in his hair from the original version, but that's not enough. Like Condon was saying, you need the strong character to be able to have him as the father figure to this dysfunctional Marvel's first family so that he can keep everybody else in line, and that was missing. And that was just one of the several weaknesses. I mean, I personally do not hate Fantastic Four. Personally, I think that it is entertaining as a film on its own. Its problem is mainly how it doesn't hold up to the potential from the comics. And that's why I say that both Green Lantern and Fantastic Four are comparable. Both of them are okay, kind of on their own. It's when you compare them to the potential of what they could have been that things fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even so much that Reed Richards has to be this strong character, but he has to, at some point, even if he has to pretend like he is that strong, even if he's not, that would be enough, really.
I will say that we got a little bit of that in Silver Surfer when he was finally standing up to the army colonel, but it took so long to get there, and that was something that really needed to be seen in the first movie. Instead, he was just as limp as his body.
Another thing that was severely lacking in the Fantastic Four series that came out early 2000s was the fact that Doctor Doom was nothing more than a Norman Osborn ripoff.
Yeah. And I didn't even see a single Doombot.
Yeah, no. Everybody who saw it and anybody who was a fan of Fantastic Four immediately said Doom was the worst thing about the movie. They got nothing right about him. They played it safe by copying off of the Spider-Man formula.
Which is, you're right. It felt, when I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, am I watching Doctor Doom or Norman Osborn? What is this? And then one of the things I wanted to see personally from Doctor Doom, and this goes back to what the Fantastic Four should be about. Fantastic Four, one of the things that I think the way Sue Richards described the team in the cartoon show Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes is that they're not so much superheroes going out and fighting crime, they're more like super-powered explorers. Reed is always finding something new, and he wants to go find out more about it. And when he goes to find what it is, he's like, okay, well, maybe we can use this to benefit mankind somehow. Then there's Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is always following behind going like, aha, I can use this to take over the world. And that's what Fantastic Four, at least the Fantastic Four I would like to see. I would like to see the Fantastic Four traveling around, exploring things, finding new things, wanting to use it for the benefit of mankind, and Doctor Doom employing other villains to actually help him try and take over the world.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a monster of the week kind of show, or at least it's not supposed to be. It can be more than that. Reed Richards is the kind of has the kind of intellect that makes plot happen, either by a mistake that he makes or a breakthrough that he makes that can be used for good or for evil.
Yeah, Roy?
I got nothing to add to that. He hit the nail on that head right there. I was just going to say that as for the movie itself, the plot line was also just pretty weak in general. Aside from just mischaracterization, this was something that we had discussed earlier in this week, and these were the notes that I had come up with. If I were to rework the story, it would be something more along the lines of Reed wanting to launch his specialized rocket into space to study the cosmic rays that are about to pass by Earth. That's something that the movie did okay. That's fine. But Doom himself, if he were to be involved, and yes, have him involved. Change that from the comics. You would need that presence early on, but have him from the get-go hating Reed Richards, not just slightly jealous, not just having his, I don't really care about him. He hates the guy. Have it so that he doesn't think that the rocket would even survive the trip, and that he thinks that Reed would die in this escapade. And, but he still has interest in the cloud itself because he knows that Reed is right about it having special properties that he would be able to use for his own personal gain. But because Reed is a genius, he's able to allow the rocket to survive its crash landing and its 4 members. They get their powers. Doom gets mad because he still wants Reed dead now more than ever since he escaped his death trap. But now they have the powers that he was planning on harvesting for his own plans. And he doesn't get directly involved. He uses Doombots. He uses cronies, supervillains that he creates, whatever, because he is Doom. He does not do things that are beneath him. He only gets involved directly when it's something huge, like getting the power cosmic from the Silver Surfer, or getting the Infinity Gauntlet to become the most powerful being in the universe. If it's anything less than that, he doesn't need to dirty his own hands. He is the ruler of his own country. He is king. He is Doom. Let him be. I'm sorry. I know that I went on too long, but
No, it's really good because I agree. It's like when you have a character like Doctor Doom, he does not, get up to do any of his own dirty work unless it's something that is so powerful and so I got to get my hands on this right now, like Infinity Gauntlet or Tesseract or whatever. If it's not that, he can send someone else or a Doombot or something. And what I really like about Doctor Doom and Reed Richards' character arcs is that when I first heard of the original origin story, it fascinated me because before they were in these costumes firing lasers at each other, fighting each other, they were really just normal guys. And, Victor was just this arrogant, jerk, and Reed was coming into college, and, it was just, wow, what a jerk, So, and then Reed comes in to Doom's lab one day, and Doom catches him. He's not doing anything wrong. It's just like, what are you doing in my lab? And Doom thinks that he's been messing with his notes. He tries his experiment, which is already flawed, and blames Reed for the accident when Reed did absolutely nothing.
That's not very nice at all.
So, and that's what fascinates me about Marvel in general, is that how all these characters just start out, are introduced as just normal people, and then they are sent on extraordinary adventures that they wouldn't even have dreamed of. And that's the basis of mythology as well. You got typical guy is sent on amazing quest, has to think outside the box in order to achieve his goal, and that's what really fascinates me about Marvel and even DC.
Both are very good at weaving tales of what would happen if somebody from the street were to somehow be able to shoot laser beams from his fingers. Would he use it for good? Evil? Neither? What?
And that's just good storytelling.
Definitely brings up a lot of interesting possibilities for stories. Okay, guys, we have one last thing to do before we adjourn for today. All right, I have compiled 8 questions based on Superman and Batman cinema and TV history.
Oh boy.
No one said there was going to be a test.
I'm not ready for this pop quiz.
I did not study.
8 questions. Whoever does not answer correctly, or in other words, whoever does not get the most points right, will end up being abducted by the collector into his intergalactic zoo.
I don't like this plan.
All right, guys. We're going to start with let's start with Conan.
Oh, great.
All right, you ready?
No.
And even if you don't know it, don't worry. We're learning something new today. Okay. In the 1966 Batman film starring Adam West, which 4 villains were featured?
Yeah, the Riddler, the Penguin, the Joker, and Catwoman.
Correct.
Yay!
All right, the next question is for Rory.
Okay.
True or false? There was once a Superman Broadway musical.
True.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
All right. That's 1 point each. Okay, back to Conan. True or false? One of the Batman films was inspired by a 2-part episode of the original 1960s Adam West TV show.
True.
You are correct. It was Batman Returns.
I knew it.
There was an episode where the Penguin in the original 1960s TV show ran for mayor. Okay.
Because why not?
All right, Rory, question for you. In the original draft of Superman 3, which 2 villains were being looked at as the antagonists? You got a multiple choice here. A, Brainiac and Darkseid. B, Lex Luthor and Toyman. C, Lex Luthor and Bizarro. Or D, Brainiac and Mr. Mxyzptlk.
I believe it was D.
And you are correct.
Yes.
Brainiac was going to be using an emotion controlling device on Superman, while Mixie would act as a comical villain with a mean streak.
If only they had gone with that idea.
Believe it or not, they were looking at Dudley Moore to play Mr. Mxyzptlk.
Of course, because why wouldn't they?
All right, back to Conan. Okay, during production on Batman and Robin, and Rory, you were actually having a discussion on Facebook with, I believe it was Stephen Murphy about this. During the production of Batman and Robin, Warner Brothers was getting ready to greenlight another Schumacher Batman film, this one titled Batman Triumphant. Which 3 villains were set to appear?
The Beatles.
You added an extra villain.
No, I added 2. This is after Yoko joined.
All right, give a guess.
Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. Let's try. Clayface. Um. Poison Ivy. Wait, no. Oh, whatever. Clayface, Poison Ivy, and Egghead.
Of course, Egghead. Actually, the three villains set to appear in the fifth Batman film were going to be Scarecrow, Harley Quinn, and the Mad Hatter.
Seriously, Harley?
Yes, she was going to come back as the Joker's daughter.
Additionally, you also would have had Jack Nicholson reprising his role as the Joker in hallucinations caused by Scarecrow's fear toxin in Batman's brain.
That script got thrown out after Batman and Robin, and I think another team of writers came up with another idea, and it was going to be called Batman the Dark Knight. The reason I call it the Dark Knight is because they literally spelled it Darknight in one word.
Spelling!
Because,
Literacy!
Because poor literacy is cool.
And that one was going to have the villains be Scarecrow and Man-Bat.
Scarecrow.
That one... Yeah, go.
What?
Go ahead, Roy.
Yeah, Scarecrow would have turned Langstrom into Man-Bat with his fear toxin chemicals.
Because why not?
Yeah.
All right, so no point for Conan on that one. All right, Rory. True or false? There was a crossover episode with Superman in the show I Love Lucy.
True.
You are correct.
I remember that episode.
There was an episode of I Love Lucy starring
George Reeves.
George Reeves, yeah, as Superman.
Oh. I'm sad now.
It's okay. We still have a couple of questions.
Two more questions here. Okay. Question 7 for Conan. True or false? Marlon Wayans, who you may remember if you've seen the Nostalgia Critics review of Dungeons and Dragons, he was the sidekick character to the hero, was originally set to play a villain in Batman Forever.
Is there a question at the end of that?
Is true or false?
Oh. True.
False. Marlon Wayans was originally cast as Robin.
Wait.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That would have been interesting. Which Robin?
I think it was still going to be Dick Grayson. All right, so final question for Rory. And Conan, since you're behind, if he gets this wrong, you can make it up.
Yay.
All right, Rory. Of these 4 actors, it's multiple choice, who was the very first to play Superman? A. Kirk Allen. B. George Reeves. C. Ray Middleton. Or D. Bob Holliday.
It was A. Kirk Allen as the first live-action Superman in the Superman serials.
You are wrong.
What?
Conan, you got to guess.
Kirk Reeves.
There is no Kirk Reeves.
I'm sorry. Read them again.
Okay, he already guessed Kirk Allen, so you've got 3 choices.
Mm-hmm.
George Reeves, Ray Middleton, or Bob Holliday.
I'm going to say Bob Holliday.
You are wrong. The correct answer was Ray Middleton at the 1939 New York World's Fair.
Gravy.
Believe it or not, he's actually considered the first.
Huh.
All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you for joining me. Signing off. We'll see you guys next Sunday.
Yeah? Well,
Yep.
All right. For comic books go to the movies. I'm Sean Basinger, aka the Fox and the Fedora.
I am Conan Bell of Fighting Leaf.
And I am Roy Griffin, who is the Tiger Wolf 55.
Now I'm gonna go join my place in the collector's collection now.
No, wait a minute. No, he can't take me. No!